Directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu, Amores, Perros is one of the most popular and influential Mexican films of all time. The film is ambitious, a series of 3 intertwining storylines with multiple protagonists, conflicts, and problems. Yet despite this chaotic nature of the film, there is a sense of continuity throughout the 3 stories. Christopher Aguiar, the content creator behind the YouTube channel Mr. Nerdista, explores this in his video essay about Amores, Perros, where he focuses on Iñárritu's cinematographic and editorial choices that shaped the film. Just as Amores, Perros is broken up into 3 sections, Aguiar's video essay is as well, serving as a reflection of the original film. Aguiar argues that short focal lengths and wide-angle shots unite the different stories of the film, creating an element of continuity present throughout Amores, Perros. He shows this by playing clips from different stories of the film, each focusing on different characters, playing in the background to demonstrate this continuity. In this compilation of shots, he alternates between different characters, emotions, colors, and compositions. Instead of just explaining visual techniques that are used and the effect that they have on the film, Aguiar shows clips of examples of how these techniques are used in order to allow the viewer to understand and see these effects and techniques for themselves. Aguiar uses each section to focus on specific visual techniques, explaining how and why they were implemented in the way that they were, as well as the direct and indirect effects that this has on the viewer. For example, in the section about Octavio and Susana, Aguiar talks about the inherent violence in Mexico, which is accompanied by scenes depicting car crashes and the blood and gore of dogfighting. He explains that these shots are filmed with shaky, handheld camera movements, which creates a sense of chaos, urgency, and danger. Aguiar shows the connection of filmic techniques between all 3 storylines by exploring the similarities and differences between how the main characters' houses are portrayed. He explains that despite the economic and social disparities between these 3 characters, there is a feeling of uncertainty and danger present in all 3. This is a result of filmic techniques and cinematographic choices, and this is also the main focus of the video essay, as these houses have an effect on the whole story of the film. By narrowing the scope of the argument, Aguiar is able to focus more clearly on specific elements and techniques that create the film's sense of continuity, as well as shaping the identities and development of each of the protagonists. Just as Amores, Perros is divided into 3 chronological sections for each of the 3 storylines, Aguiar's video essay is as well, starting with Octavio, just like in the film. When discussing Octavio's house in the video essay, Aguiar presents a long freeze frame of a singular shot of the house. Using this, he explains how short focal length is used to distort both the foreground and the background, and discusses how this affects the film, both reflecting themes of illicit desire between Octavio and Susana, as well as the disjointed nature of the family. By removing the movement and dialogue, Aguiar is able to focus on the positioning of the shot, allowing the viewer to more clearly understand the underlying visual elements at play to construct the scene. He later shows how the house is used to create a sense of claustrophobia, giving or taking away characters' room to breathe through the way the house is presented throughout the film. This allows the viewer to see and understand these changes for themselves. Aguiar then shifts the focus of the video to Daniel and Valeria's apartment. This shift is represented with another title screen, the same title screen that's in the movie, creating connections with the original film, causing this video essay to serve almost as a mini version of the film, creating as a reflection of the greater part of the original. Aguiar explains how in the start of the story, the wide angles are gone, allowing a feeling of stability to return, and examples of this are shown. After Valeria is placed in a wheelchair, however, the wide angles return, distorting the house. In the context of Daniel and Valeria's apartment, this makes the hallways seem much longer, representing an even greater challenge to Valeria. Instead of explaining this chronologically, Aguiar jumps between the start and end of the story, showcasing how differences in Valeria's life are reflected through camera angles and positioning. In Amores, Perros, this change of visual style happens gradually between the different scenes, and by contrasting scenes from the start and end of the story, the viewer can see this change for themselves, as well as its relationship with the storyline and the rest of the film. For the final storyline about El Chivo and Maru, Aguiar goes straight into analyzing a specific scene where Gustavo, accompanied by a friend, is talking to El Chivo about murdering his half-brother. In the scene, he explains how geometry is used to advance the plot and convey emotions, holding scenes together on a subconscious level. This imagery of triangles highlights tensions and connections between the characters, which influences the development of both characters and the story. Throughout the whole video essay, Aguiar does not include any text or visual overlays, instead choosing to play clips from Amores Perros just as they are used in the movie. This ties into one of Aguiar's main arguments, that Amores Perros is a reflection of Iñárritu's vision of Mexico, presented through a hyper-realistic lens. Iñárritu does not hold the viewer's hand through the film, yet he forces the viewer to go to certain places and feel certain emotions, and by not including text, this allows the viewer to understand the arguments for themselves, which relates to Iñárritu's hyper-realistic depiction of Mexico. Aguiar also does not include any dialogue in the film, as the video primarily focuses on the visual rhetoric and editorial choices. Instead of dialogue, Aguiar mutes the audio from the clips, and instead plays a continuous, soft background music from the movie. This creates a sense of continuity between the shots, joining them by similar themes, even if they're from different parts of the film. Overall, through his video essay about the film, Aguiar creates an informative and thought-provoking analysis of the cinematography and visual rhetoric present in Amores Perros, discussing Iñárritu's directorial vision as well as the techniques he implemented in producing the film.